FSIR 2019. Hitting all the right notes in the Lone Star State. Celebrating the most exciting specialty in medicine today and unleashing the power of IR to improve patient outcomes. This is the time. This is the place. Discover the latest innovations, collaborate with the top IR leaders across the globe, and explore your unlimited potential in the world of IR. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world, welcomes you to SIR 2019, your 44th annual scientific meeting. Bringing together physicians, researchers, clinical associates, nurses, technologists, physician assistants, residents, students, and academics from around the world. Delivering more of what you want. Access to expert faculty, more learning environments, and our biggest lineup ever. 2019 gold medalists, 35th Daughter Lecture, film panel, expert speakers, hands-on workshops and simulation, career symposium for all IRs, SIR Connect Live, Expo, and much, much more. We are IR with a vision to heal. This is SIR 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the chair of your SIR 2019 annual meeting, Dr. Dan C.
Thank you, and welcome everyone to Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world and the city that prides itself on staying weird. I'm going to read from notes here so that I don't accidentally drop an F-bomb. So this year's meeting is designed to reflect interventional radiology's reinvention as a primary specialty. The staff and committee of SIR have prepared a program of over 400 sessions and events, of which almost half of them are brand new that you have not seen in previous years. Most of these are crowdsourced from attendees and volunteers who offered feedback and proposals based on previous years. Also, as part of the growth of IR and its unprecedented popularity, you will see new progress in diversity and inclusion as we bring new ideas and resources into our field. So I urge you all to take advantage of what Austin has to offer. Even here at the meeting, we're going to have live music, we have food trucks in the back of the Expo Center, and to share the buzz on social media, hashtag SIR19ATX. And of course, as the program chair, if you see anything that goes wrong, you can tell me, and I don't know if you can see this, but my badge reads, "Sorry, my bad." Thank you.
And now, please give a warm welcome to your SIR president, Dr. Vicki Marks.
Good morning and welcome to Austin. It's been my honor and pleasure to serve as SIR's president this past year. I complete my term secure in the knowledge that SIR works continuously, thoughtfully, and hard on behalf of the specialty, the new primary specialty of interventional radiology, and on behalf of all of our members. It's been a very busy year, and in this presentation, I will highlight some of our society's recent accomplishments. But before I begin, I need to thank some people. In particular, my partners at work and my husband at home, who are all very happy that this year is almost over. So thank you, Warren Garner, Michael Katz, Sue Hanks, Ray Turaganesian, Stu Schroff, and Jay Veravamurthy for your support and your patience over the last 364 days. While I'm thanking people, now's a perfect time to thank Dr. Dan Z, this year's annual meeting chair, and the rest of the SIR 2019 Annual Scientific Meeting Committee for your imagination, your energy, and your hard work developing this year's program. I know everyone in this room is looking forward to the science, the education, the expo, and the social events of 2019 SIR, so thank you. This meeting will demonstrate and highlight all that we believe as a professional organization. So what do we believe? Well, here's 3 things. We believe in the limitless potential of image-guided treatments to solve the toughest medical problems. We believe in IR physician insight, clinical expertise, and innovation to develop breakthrough treatments, change medical practice, and improve lives. We believe in research-based outcomes and telling the powerful story of IR to all who need to hear it. Over the last year as president, and in the many years I've had volunteering for SIR, I can attest to the power of this society to use these beliefs to lead and guide the specialty in multiple ways. We believe in other things, too. We believe in a thriving, diverse IR workforce and are working to realize that every day. What are some examples? Well, first, we have just completed yet another competitive match of medical students into the integrated IR residency program. We were one of only 6 major specialties that filled all available positions. There were twice as many applicants as positions in IR. IR is hot. Next, diversity is the engine behind new ideas and innovation. Diversity translates into more effective patient care. SIR is committed to growing the number of women and minorities in IR through our Speakers Bureau, microgrant awards, and expanded programming options. This year, we awarded 7 microgrants to fund diversity and inclusion research in IR practices, and we had 81 Speakers Bureau participants. Third, SIR launched a society-wide diversity and inclusion initiative. The Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Group is spearheading efforts in 5 broad goals: recruitment, data and benchmarking, health disparities, awareness and collaboration, and member education and resources. Finally, with respect to diversity, we are also connecting IRs on a global scale. 22 members of SIR represented the society at meetings around the world this year. 122 affiliate members have joined SIR through the new International Affiliate Membership Program. This year, we also have 12 international scholars from 11 countries participating in our International Scholars Program. These people come from China, Egypt, Ghana, India, Iraq, Lithuania, Nigeria, Pakistan, South Africa, Syria, and Tanzania. Welcome. The International Scholars Program, now in its 8th year, builds relationships with international IRs and strengthens the development of this specialty globally, including here in the US. In addition to a diverse workforce, we believe in diversity of IR practice, the practice of IR, be it private practice or academic. We want to make sure that all interventional radiologists have the tools we need to thrive and provide evidence-based care for our patients. As we close out the first year of our 2018 to 2022 strategic plan, we have delivered on the promise to provide IRs the tools we need to thrive in multiple ways. Some of these are new processes and societal infrastructure for developing standards of practice that meet the expectations of the greater medical community. Dedicated private practice representation on the SIR Executive Council and increased private practice representation on society committees. The development of a universal IR residency curriculum that will be ready for use in 2020 when the first large class of IR residents begin the IR portion of their graduate medical education program. Developed by the IR Residency Curriculum Advisory Committee, the curriculum will provide all interventional radiologists with access to the same well-rounded IR domain knowledge base, from the essentials of clinical IR care to disease-specific treatments, research fundamentals, and the business and economics of medicine. The launch of a new online learning management system goes along with this, and this system is designed both for the universal curriculum and for the delivery of a dynamic and increasingly interactive continuing education program for all IR physicians and IR teams. I want to mention something here while I'm talking about diversity that is also a factor in our maturation as a specialty. The diversity of focus within IR membership is growing as our specialty matures. There's pediatric IR, there's IR oncology, there's independent IR practice, vein specialists, and the energetic SIR sections. All of these manifestations of diversity within our specialty are strong and add to our strength and depth as a medical specialty. Connecting with like-minded colleagues to further specific interests and goals is great, but for interventional radiology to deal effectively with the outside world, payers, government, regulatory agencies, competing specialties, we need to be a unified group with a unified voice sharing the big picture of interventional radiology. We must always keep the totality of interventional radiology first on the world stage. That's the most important thing I'm going to say today. That's what I believe. We believe in fearless thinking and the power of research and evidence to further the practice of IR. SIR and SIR Foundation are supporting advanced research to develop, test, and implement breakthrough treatments. We've just completed enrollment in the PRESERVE trial. This trial is the first large-scale, multi-specialty, prospective clinical research trial to evaluate IVC filter use and follow-up in the US. Now think about that. We've been placing IVC filters since I was in medical school, and that was a long time ago. Completion of this trial is a huge accomplishment. Completion of recruitment for this trial is a huge accomplishment and a testament to the commitment of IR to quality research. We also believe in sharing the IR community and the IR story with the world. Through SIRPAC, we bring our story to Capitol Hill and the decision makers who are making the policies that affect the way we practice. Our continued support of SIRPAC is vital to ensuring that we can deliver on SIRPAC's key advocacy issues. These include addressing physician reimbursement issues related to MACRA, supporting legislation to provide more funding for IR residency spots, introducing legislation to increase reimbursement for new technologies, and supporting legislation to abolish the medical device tax. Through 2 Hill briefings in 2018, volunteers from SIR told Congress about how IR is revolutionizing cancer care, saving lives by embolization of arterial hemorrhage and removal of blood clots, stopping pain without opioids, all using minimally invasive techniques. We are taking this story across the country this year as we launch the Vision to Heal Together campaign, a multimedia, public relations, and advertising campaign to create dialogue and alliances with referring physicians and provide patients with actionable information about IR as a treatment option. How did we do all this? How did we do all this? Well, I can tell you how we did all this. All of these initiatives and accomplishments are powered by you guys, by volunteers. None of these efforts would have been possible without the army of member volunteers that power our associations alongside our very experienced and hardworking staff. They make all this happen. You make all this happen, right? You are the volunteers. You all make all this happen. The on-demand courses we take, this very meeting, the curriculum we follow in our training, the guidelines and standards we use in our practice, the advocacy on our behalf to Congress, the federal agencies, and private payers. None of this happens without the volunteers of the society. Please join me in thanking SIR and SIR's foundation staff and the nearly 800 volunteers that make our society and foundation run. Please join me. Clap for yourselves. Thank you for all you do for the specialty of interventional radiology and for the SIR. And thank you for giving me a great year serving as head volunteer. So now we can move on. Now it's time to honor 3 interventional radiologists who exemplify the power of volunteering and giving back to our specialty. It's my pleasure and honor to present this year's gold medals. Our first gold medal goes to Dr. Dan Picus.
A devoted physician, dedicated educator, and technical innovator, Dr. Daniel Picus is an honored recipient of the 2019 SIR Gold Medal. Dr. Picus is Professor of Radiology and Surgery at the Mallinckrodt Institute of Radiology at Washington University School of Medicine. He also serves as Senior Vice Chair for Special Projects. A 1981 graduate of the University of Chicago School of Medicine, he began his career at MIR, where he completed his radiology residency, followed by a fellowship in abdominal imaging. He completed a second vascular and interventional radiology fellowship at the Alexandria Hospital in Virginia. He was chosen to lead MIR's newly established interventional radiology section in 1986. His academic focus is primarily in the percutaneous management of biliary disease, as well as the treatment of patients with pulmonary arteriovenous malformations. Dr. Picus was instrumental in the development and implementation of the IR oral exam for the IRCAQ of the American Board of Radiology. He has a strong interest in coding and reimbursement and is a member of the American Medical Association's current procedural terminology editorial panel. He has served on the AMA CPT Assistant Editorial Board, as well as serving as the American College of Radiology's CPT Advisor. Among his many accomplishments, Dr. Picus has authored more than 130 peer-reviewed publications, multiple textbook chapters, and scientific exhibits. He is a recipient of the Teacher of the Year and the Washington University Distinguished Clinician Awards. An active member of SIR, he has served as both education and annual meeting counselor on the SIR Executive Council and was the first editor of the Society of Cardiovascular and Interventional Radiology newsletter. He was the first deputy editor of the Journal of Vascular and Interventional Radiology, and from 1995 to 2000 served as its second editor-in-chief. Dr. Picus is a fellow of SIR, ACR, and the American Heart Association. He was the honored speaker at the 2013 SIR Annual Scientific Meeting, delivering the Daughter Lecture.
Congratulations on winning the gold medal, Dan. I just wanted to share with you how much your encouragement and support meant to me throughout both my residency and fellowship. You taught me about interventional radiology and helped me set my feet on a path to what has been an amazing and fulfilling career. I know you remember me because I was your first pregnant fellow and the first one who had to go on bed rest during her fellowship. And you still supported me and let me finish. Congratulations, Dan. You deserve this.
Dan, congratulations on this tremendous honor. I realize that we first met in July of 1981, which just recognizes the fact that you're getting older. For over a decade, you and I met in Tucson and Chicago to assemble the oral examinations for the residents and fellows. Despite the tedious travel, I look forward to those sessions because of the tasks that we're doing from the board, but mainly because of the professional collegiality and the personal time we had together. Dan, congratulations as an extraordinary scholar, teacher, leader, and most importantly, a friend.
Dan Picus really deserves this award because of his many contributions to the specialty and our society. Over the last 30 years, he has done a tremendous job of teaching numerous trainees how to be both technically competent, very clinically savvy, and despite being detail-oriented, how to be a really caring, compassionate physician. Congratulations, Dan.
And now, please give a warm welcome to our 2019 SIR Gold Medalist, Dr. Daniel Picus.
Wow, that was pretty impressive. What an honor. Although I do accept this with a bit of trepidation because I always thought these types of honors were usually bestowed on really old people. Sorry, Jim and Alan. And I really don't feel like I'm in that group. For my entire professional career, SIR has always been the one organization I felt most closely a part of. I can still remember my first SIR meeting in San Diego 32 years ago, and the thrill of being in the company of so many folks who made IR what it is today. So to be recognized like this by the society is such a big deal for me. I'd like to thank the leadership of SIR, the members of SIR, as well as the folks who nominated me for this privilege and honor. As people always do at times like this, I'd like to acknowledge a few of the people who have been so important to my life and career. First and most importantly, I've been exceptionally lucky to have the support, encouragement, and understanding of two incredible women. My first wife, Leisha Gale, whom many of you knew, as well as my second wife, Laura Friedman, who is with me here today. I'm also lucky to have two of the world's best daughters, Carolyn and Rebecca, and the absolute loves of my life, my 4 grandchildren. I'd like to also thank a few individuals who saw something in me that I didn't see myself, Barry Katzen and Irina Van Breda, who taught me how to be a clinically focused interventional radiologist before that was something we all took for granted. Ron Evans, Bruce McLennan, and Lou Galula, who supported my vision of an IR section at Washington University and gave me the opportunity to take that forward. My first partner, Vicki Marks, who shared every other night call with me when we started the IR section at MIR, and that's really extreme IR. And finally, Gary Becker, who took me under his wing and allowed me the privilege of helping him start JVIR, first as deputy editor and then as editor for 5 long years. I've also been blessed with the best colleagues anyone could ask for, many of whom have been president of SIR, Marshall Hicks, Mike Darcy, Suresh Vedantam, and Vicki Marks, all of who are here today. Having that many presidents of SIR from one practice seems like it should be a record of some kind. I've also had so many other past and present great partners in our IR practice at WashU. I'd also like to thank the over 150 fellows over the years who've passed through MIR and contributed to making it the great section it really is. Finally, I'd be remiss in not mentioning all the great IR techs, nurses, PAs, and support staff over the years that have been our partners in impacting the lives of so many patients in so many positive ways. As I said in my daughter lecture, I guess 6 years ago now, IR is truly a great specialty, and if I had it all to do over again, I absolutely would. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Picus. Thank you, Dan. Our next gold medal recipient is Dr. James Spies.
A recognized international authority on uterine artery embolization for fibroids, Dr. James Spies is an honored recipient of the 2019 SIR Gold Medal. Since 2005, Dr. Spies has served as professor and chair in the Department of Radiology at Georgetown University Hospital in Washington, D.C. Dr. Spies was born in Danville, California, one of 10 children. After attending Georgetown University School of Medicine, he completed a radiology residency at the University of California, San Francisco, and a fellowship at New York University School of Medicine in vascular and interventional radiology. He also received a Master's of Public Health from Johns Hopkins University. Dr. Spies served 4 years in the United States Air Force before going into private practice. He joined the faculty of Georgetown University in 1997. He has an active practice in uterine embolization for fibroids and has performed extensive research in the procedure, measuring outcomes from a range of fibroid therapies. He also studies the safety and efficacy of prostate artery embolization for benign prostatic hyperplasia. Dr. Spies takes a collaborative approach to patient care, actively involving the patient and the patient's other physicians to ensure optimal patient outcome. He serves on the steering committees of the Compare UF trial, the largest outcome study of fibroid therapies in the United States, and the Preserve trial, which studies the safety and effectiveness of inferior vena cava filters. He has published over 100 scientific studies and participated in more than 400 invited presentations. An active member of SIR, he has served as foundation chair, SIR president, and on numerous committees. He is a fellow of SIR and the American College of Radiology and a trustee of the American Board of Radiology for Interventional Radiology. He is a distinguished fellow of the Cardiovascular and Interventional Radiology Society of Europe and honorary fellow of the British Society of Interventional Radiology.
Congratulations, Dr. Spies. No one deserves this award more. It is because of you that right now I have a thriving fibroid practice. What else would I be doing? Kyphoplasties, Y90s, PICC lines or ports? No, it is because of you that I have the pleasure of saving women everywhere, one uterus at a time. Congratulations.
Jim has been a tremendous inspiration both to myself as well as to interventional radiologists worldwide. He really has set the standard for how an IR procedure should be pursued and developed during its initial infancy. And because of his work, many women throughout the world now have access to a wonderful new procedure, and IR has maintained the highest ethical and scientific standards in pursuing its development. This is an amazing accomplishment, and I give Dr. Spies my congratulations.
One thing I think that everybody should know about Dr. Spies is he really is a family man. His secret to so many publications is sitting on the couch at night while his daughters are doing homework. He spent a ton of time with his family, would often have to leave the lab to go get his dog from the vet. He was very encouraging of me with an infant and a toddler. He was also very supportive of me throughout that process, and for that, I'm forever grateful.
And now, please give a warm welcome to our 2019 SIR Gold Medalist, Dr. James B. Spies.
Well, it's always a little bit embarrassing to see yourself that many times up on a screen that big. So there's no question that this is the singular honor of my career. You know, I would say almost all my best friends in the world are in this room right now. And to be honored by you all, I really am very, very grateful. Just a few people I'd like to thank. All my partners and staff at the hospitals I've worked over the years, particularly at Georgetown where I built my academic career. Thank you for your collaboration and support, covering me when I needed to be covered, and for all the help and collaboration that you provided. There have been many, many mentors over my career, and I've tried to give back in the same way. I have to say that the reason I have been able to succeed is by the inspiration and the advice that I've received from mentors throughout my career. To my daughters, Vivian and Anna Christina, thank you for your unfailing love. And for my wife, you know, she's put up with a lot over the years, I have to say. And you know, for all the late night calls, the conference calls, the night work, the working on papers, you know, she often said that the computer was my mistress and that she couldn't compete. And I have to say, once in a while, it was a little touch and go there, I think. But I will say to her right now that she finally won in the end, and for that I'm forever grateful. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Spies. Our third gold medal recipient is Dr. Alan Matsumoto.
An innovative pioneer in minimally invasive image-guided procedures, Dr. Alan H. Matsumoto is an honored recipient of the 2019 SIR Gold Medal. Dr. Matsumoto is professor and chair of the Department of Radiology and Medical Imaging at the University of Virginia, Charlottesville. He joined the faculty in 1991. He earned his BA and MA from the University of California, Santa Barbara. After completing his medical degree from Bowman Gray School of Medicine at Wake Forest University, he completed residencies in internal medicine at the University of Massachusetts and diagnostic radiology at the University of North Carolina. He received fellowship training in vascular and interventional radiology at Georgetown University. In his clinical practice, Dr. Matsumoto cares for patients with arteriovenous malformation, uterine fibroids, fibromuscular dysplasia, and peripheral arterial, aortic, renal, and mesenteric vascular and venous thromboembolic disease. He has pioneered many innovative, minimally invasive image-guided procedures, many of which are used today in nationally recognized medical facilities. He has helped train more than 200 diagnostic radiology residents and 100 vascular and interventional radiology fellows. He has published 300 articles and book chapters, given over 300 invited and scientific talks, and served as the site principal investigator for 24 clinical trials. He was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Board of Radiology and a gold medal from the Association of Vascular and Interventional Radiology Technologists. An active SIR member, he has served as president and program chair. He is a past president of the Southeastern Angio Society and the Virginia chapter of the American College of Radiology. He has contributed to numerous organizations, including the American Board of Radiology, the American Heart Association Cardiovascular Radiology and Intervention Council, and AHA's Vascular Imaging and Peripheral Vascular Disease Joint Committee.
Congratulations, Alan. You've always been a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. I learned from you what true clinical IR is. You pioneered it before it was even a thing. You taught us the importance of spending more time outside the procedure room. I learned from you what true servant leadership is. You would never ask us to do something you would not do yourself. And you're always the first one in and the last one out. You care deeply about every member of the IR family, and you shared stories about your family. For that, I'll be ever grateful. I would not be who I am if it wasn't for you. Go Who's.
Anybody who knows Dr. Alan Matsumoto appreciates that he is an incredibly intelligent, dedicated, well-read, but humble physician and leader. He treats all his patients like they are family, and he treasures family, both immediate and extended. He will often say he is not an innovator, but he was creating homemade covered stents and doing TVARs in the 90s. Not because he wanted to be first, but because that is what his patients deserved.
Dr. Matsumoto, your vast fund of knowledge, your advancement of our specialty through your clinical research, and your advocacy for IR do not begin to describe your clinical aptitude. It's the relationship you've been able to develop with your patients over the years who truly describe you as their doctor that embodies what it means to be an IR in today's clinical environment. We're so privileged to have you not only as our chairman, but as a mentor, a teacher, and an advocate for our department and its residents. Congratulations on receiving the gold medal. It's extremely well deserved.
And now, please give a warm welcome to our 2019 SIR Gold Medalist, Dr. Alan H. Matsumoto.
Please allow me to read some notes so I maintain my composure here. Today is particularly special and humbling for me to be able to share, particularly in this recognition, with my friends and respected colleagues, Jim Spies and Dan Picus. Congratulations to both you and your families. Any success that one may experience is often the product of the environment in which we grew up. As such, I would like to acknowledge my parents, George and Amy Matsumoto, whose lives and families were significantly affected by World War II and the Japanese-American internment camps. I want to thank them for instilling in me the belief that I should always be appreciative for what I had rather than worrying about what I didn't have. They also taught me that things would likely turn out fine if I just made the best of the way things turned out, because you never know when your life could undergo a significant change by a single event. We all know that very few people have the chance to enjoy professional success without a positive and supportive family. Therefore, I want my wife and children to understand how much I love and appreciate them. To my wife, Julie, I want to say the biggest thank you. I know that by giving me the latitude to pursue my professional interests, you assume more than your fair share of responsibility at home and in raising our daughters. Yet, despite being such a wonderful mother and partner, and so supportive of me and our children, I have also watched you quietly carve out your own very successful academic career as a neuroradiologist. I am both grateful to and proud of you. Thank you, honey. To Mallory and Monica, thank you for understanding that my passion for my profession and patients in no way diminished my love for both of you. Rather, please know that it gave me a great appreciation for how lucky I really am to have such wonderful daughters. Please also know that I will ultimately measure my life's success by your happiness and personal well-being. Many of us recognize that our colleagues with whom we work are critical contributors to any success we may experience. Indeed, Henry Ford once said, "My best friend is the one who brings out the best in me." Therefore, I would like to specifically acknowledge some folks who have been and continue to be my professional best friends, while at the same time apologizing to the many individuals who have supported me that I am unable to mention due to the time limitations. To Matt Morrow, I want to thank you for calling me into your office when I was your resident and telling me that I was falling behind and I needed to read more. Sometimes constructive feedback from someone you respect is the best thing that can happen to you. Matt, thank you for always looking out for my personal and professional well-being. To Clemens Barth, with whom I did my fellowship training at Georgetown. During and after completing my fellowship with Clem, he always challenged me to do more academically, mainly because he believed in me. Clem, thank you for believing and encouraging me. To Charles Tegmeyer, with whom I had the good fortune to work for 5 years, I want to thank him for reaffirming my belief that doing what is best for patients should always be our true north, and that IRs can and should become the patient's doctor and their biggest advocate. To Fritz Engel, who's been my academic partner at UVA for more than 25 years. Fritz, working alongside you has been a privilege and honor and a wonderful experience. Thank you for being the best professional partner anyone could ever have. To Mike Dake, thank you for being such a good friend, colleague, and a positive influence on my professional career. I also want to thank the other IO faculty who have crossed paths with me at UVA, who have all helped me in so many different ways. Bain Selby, Klaus Hogspill, Dave Spinoza, Dan Leung, Sahar Sabri, Alwan Park, Bulent Arslan, Cenk Turber, Wael Saad, James Stone, Luke Wilkins, Steve Haskell, Andre Uflacker, and Dan Sheeran. I also want to acknowledge Dot Cage, our first advanced practice provider we hired in 1997 to help us grow our clinical presence and our practice. I would also be remiss if I did not thank all the IR technologists and nurses with whom I have worked. Thank you for teaching me how to improve patient care and for the times that you helped me during a procedure by not giving me what I asked for, but rather giving me what I needed. To all the residents and fellows who entrusted me to contribute to your training, I want to thank you for tolerating some of my old-fashioned ways of teaching. Please know that I learned more from you than you did from me. Most importantly, I want to thank the patients who provided me the privilege of being involved in their care. I want to thank the SIR for providing me the community in which to pursue my professional passion and purpose, and for this great honor. And I want to take a special moment here and indulge you for an additional 5 minutes or so. Being in Austin, it is appropriate to quote an alumnus that graduated from the University of Texas, Doug Lawson, a paleontologist and computer scientist, who said, "We exist temporarily through what we take, but we live forever through what we give." With this quote in mind, and looking to the bright future IR, it is my pleasure to announce through a gift from my family and to the SIR Foundation, and with generous support from Boston Scientific, Cook Medical, Penumbra, Siemens, and W.O. Gore, we are establishing a new program called GEMS, or Grants to Educate Medical Students. With IR now being recognized as its own medical specialty, we have a wonderful opportunity to engage medical students while also growing the diversity within our specialty. We all know that once medical students are exposed to IR, they often fall in love with it. So it's really about giving them a chance to see and experience how great IR really is early enough in their career so they can make the appropriate choice. The purpose of the GEMS program is specifically to grow the diversity in IR by providing a travel grant to medical students who identify as either being from a gender, racial, or ethnic group underrepresented in IR, or who identify as LGBTQ and who are seeking to be first-generation physicians in their families, as well as students from a socioeconomically disadvantaged background, regardless of their gender or ethnicity, by providing them a travel grant as a way to encourage them to explore the specialty of IR as a career. Up to 10 $1,500 travel grants per year will be awarded to medical students who have applied and been accepted to the GEMS program to participate in a 4-week IR clerkship outside of their home institution. The intent of the program is to eliminate any financial barrier that might have prevented a medical student from exploring an extramural IR clerkship. The rationale for encouraging students to participate in IR clerkship different from their home institution is to provide them a unique opportunity to be exposed to a different institution and an IR program, to have a more personalized learning experience about the specialty IR, to become more comfortable in a new environment as a prelude to the residency application and an interviewing process, and to potentially develop an early mentoring relationship in IR and broaden their professional network. Not only does the program provide opportunities for medical students, but hopefully will also encourage IR training programs to contribute to the promotion of diversity in our specialty. We will begin accepting applications effective April 1st. The GEMS program information can be found at the GEMS website, sirfoundation.org/GEMS, and there will also be a press release about the program today. At the website, you will find program guidelines and eligibility requirements, grant cycles and schedules, and the online application form. Information on how to make a donation so that you can further support the program can also be found at the website, at the SIR booth, and the SIR Donors Lounge at this meeting. The SIR Foundation will also be glad to help in any gift related to whether it's the GEMS program or something else that you believe in for interventional radiology to support our specialty. It is really the goal and sincere hope of my family, Boston Scientific, Cook Medical, Penumbra, Siemens Healthineers, W.L. Gore, SIR, and the SIR Foundation that the GEMS program will help to expand the diversity of thought and personnel in our specialty so we may better serve the growing diversity of the patients for whom we provide care. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Matsumoto, for your generous investment in the future of interventional radiology. Now it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Matsumoto back on the stage to deliver the 2019 Daughter Lecture.
Over a half-century ago, a practical genius named Dr. Charles T. Daughter introduced transluminal angioplasty and launched a revolution in patient care that has saved millions of lives around the world. Today, Dr. Daughter is recognized as the father of interventional radiology. Each year, we acknowledge his groundbreaking contributions with the Daughter Lecture. The Daughter Lecture is given by an individual who has delivered exceptional contributions to the field, shown noteworthy achievements in interventional radiology, and modeled dedicated service to our society. It's our honor to welcome back to the stage this year's 2019 Daughter Lecturer, Dr. Alan H. Matsumoto.
I need the clicker to advance the slides, so I apologize. So thank you for indulging me. I feel a little embarrassed that I'm taking so much time on the stage. But what I'd like to do is, while we're waiting to get the slide advancer up to the stage, I'd like to first start out, maybe Michelle, I know you're in the back, we can start advancing the slides. I'd like to, first of all, thank Vicki for inviting me and giving me the privilege to provide this daughter lecture. I'd want to start out, first of all, to talk about 4 facts that are impacting the practice of medicine and IR in the United States and how they're affecting all of us. The first one is that U.S. healthcare is the most expensive in the world, yet it ranks last among developed countries. Secondly, consumerism is really starting to drive healthcare. Thirdly, information is doubling every 73 days. Fourth, healthcare is changing so quickly that being adaptable is now a requisite for health systems and for providers. I also want to provide a little video, so we'll go ahead and go forward here and provide a little context. It's a clip from the movie City Slickers, in which Jack Palance plays a sort of hard-driven cowboy, and he is giving a little personal advice to Billy Crystal, who is a New Yorker that is suffering a midlife crisis that's out west on a dude ranch on vacation with some of his buddies. So I'd like to play this little video. If we can play the video, please.
Do you know what the secret of life is?
No, what?
This.
Your finger?
One thing. Just one thing. You stick to that and everything else don't mean shit.
That's great, but what's the one thing?
That's what you gotta figure out.
So what I'd like to do is talk about the 4 factoids and construct a little story of why patients are critically important to interventional radiologists, and then come back to answer what is that one thing. So let's start out with fact number 1. The U.S. healthcare system is very expensive, and yet it ranks last among developed countries. This recent international study from 2014 looked at 11 different developed countries about healthcare factors such as efficiency, access, quality, and indicators of healthy lives such as infant mortality. And as one sees, the U.S. ranked last. Despite that, life expectancy amongst 36 different developed countries, if you look at this blue line as it goes forward here, this is the life expectancy of 35 of the 36 countries. In contrast, if you look at the U.S. life expectancy, it has not only tapered off, it is starting to go down, such that we rank 31 out of these 36 developed countries, and our life expectancy is 78.6 years as of 2016, and believe it or not, in 2018 it went down a little bit more. Despite the fact that our quality is lagging and our life expectancy is below other developed countries, the cost for the United States healthcare continues to go up, such that it's averaging close to $12,000 per person per year. What that translates to is that the cost of healthcare in the United States is more than 2 times more than any other developed country, which is about $3.3 trillion per year, about 18% of our GDP. Interestingly enough, that $3.3 trillion is more than the entire GDP of the United Kingdom. Fact number 2, consumerism is starting to drive healthcare. When we look at this Time magazine from 2013, where they talk really about medical bills are killing us, it's become so bad that the healthcare costs have become a bitter pill to swallow. Indeed, if you look at this graph of changes of healthcare premiums between 1999 and 2015, healthcare premiums have increased almost 200%, while earnings have only increased 56%. This divergence is creating a major problem for patients and employers, so many of them are choosing large deductible plans and higher copays. In addition, the growth in household spending between 2008 and 2016 has grown on average about 1.6%. Yet if you look at the items like apparel, entertainment, food, housing, and transportation, all of them have grown less than 1.2%, so 1.6%. So what has really made up that big difference? It is really that's affecting the spending. It's really health care. When we look at this, out-of-pocket health care has grown by 5.6%, and health insurance itself has grown 8.4%. The healthcare costs have become so much that patients are not able to pay their copays, and bad debt has also increased 500% from 1% to 5% over that same 8-year time interval. It's led us to a situation with a decade of healthcare cost growth has really wiped out any significant income gains for an average family. This is what's driving consumerism. It's also affecting many politicians and individual patients who are beginning to advocate for a single-payer system. It's led the CEO of Walgreens to be quoted in the New York Times saying that the patient as a consumer will expect and have increasingly seamless access to care where, when, and at the value that they want. Price transparency and consumerism is really driving expectations related to patients. When you look at this map of county price averages for total knee replacements, and you really think about what it costs for total knee replacements in various areas within California, if you look at the San Joaquin Valley, the average price estimate for a knee replacement there is a little over $24,000, whereas if you get it done along the Monterey coast, it's almost $22,000 more. This has led to the development of more transparency online shopping sites. This is driven by the consumers. Fact number 3. The volume of information is doubling every 73 days, so much so that if you really do the math, that means in 4 years, we will be dealing with 1 million times more information than we are today. Now let me digress a little bit to Moore's Law. Gordon Moore is the co-founder and CEO of Intel Corporation. In 1965, he postulated that computational capabilities would grow roughly at the rate of the densities at which you can put a transistor on a little board. Now that principle held true for about 40 years, to about the mid-2000s. In 2005, this led to an exponential growth in which computational capabilities grew. So when we look at this exponential growth of information, companies took charge of that and utilizing not only the information, but other technologies. An inflection point occurred around 2005 when you really think about it. In 2006, Google launched the Android. They acquired YouTube. Twitter, the microblogging company, was launched as well. VM software made it possible to run multiple systems and applications, which eventually enabled cloud computing. And then IBM Watson was initiated based upon machine learning and artificial intelligence. Think about that. How many of you actually heard about machine learning and artificial intelligence 15 years ago? It was already running, and medicine fell behind. With all these different things, Amazon, you think about things going forward, releasing Kindle and 3G, it really creates a lot of turbulence in the world and in medicine. And of course, the iPhone really shook up the world. Now you had a pocket device that not only can you communicate verbally with images, it was search and access information. The digital age was really changing our lives, and with it, health care. You add social media to the healthcare equation, and it's really accelerated the pace of information exchange, such that the rapid pace of data generation and information sharing has made it difficult for systems and people to manage. In his book entitled Thank You for Being Late, Thomas Friedman really talked about this life of acceleration, such that fast has become so fast that slow now really seems particularly slow. This is very true in medicine, where we tend to iterate based upon guidelines and best practices. So fact number 4. Sometimes it feels as if we're in the middle of a tornado because of all these changes that are occurring. Business sharks are smelling the blood in the water, and they're swimming to it because healthcare has so much money around it. Retailers, payers, pharmacies, venture capital groups are becoming more involved in the delivery of care. Mega mergers, acquisitions, partnerships, and corporatization of medicine are more commonplace, such that the era of healthcare disruption is here. We're in the middle of it. So I'd like to borrow from some slides from the advisory board group and talk about some new players that are getting involved into the healthcare game of delivering care and creating entities that are dominating large markets. If we look on the vertical axis, combined market valuation and the potential for disruption on the horizontal axis, you can look at Cigna, a health insurance company, combining in a partnership with Express Scripts, which is a pharmacy benefits management team, to create a $80+ billion entity to get into our space. This is a major health insurance and a pharmacy benefit manager aligning. Then you get retail pharmacies, CVS and Walgreens, partnering with health providers, Aetna and Humana, to create 80+ to 100 billion+ entities. Think about this. CVS and Walgreens already have more than 1,400 retail clinics in 35 different states. Retail clinics have increased the volume of seeing patients tenfold over the last 10 years. 25% of patients have gone to a retail clinic in their lifetime. And oh, by the way, 75% of the US population lives within 25 miles of a CVS. Think about this. This integrated network system of a health plan, retail pharmacy, provider-based pharmacy benefits manager, and ambulatory provider system, creating the system to compete in the healthcare space. Then you get to someone like United Health and DaVita Medical Group forming a 200 billion+ corporation. Many of us are familiar with DaVita Health because of their relationships with dialysis, but they are a national service. They actually have clinics in 9 different countries and employ more than 15,000 physicians, whether they're pediatricians, primary care physicians, and surgeons. And they have 15 million patients in their network. Now, when we think about that, compare that to the largest academic medical center in the United States, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. It is an $18 billion system versus over $200 billion. When I look at our institution, University of Virginia, it's $2.5 billion. Imagine the influence these companies can have on how healthcare is going and moving towards. Well, with the various headwinds that are coming and all these new players entering the market and retailers like Walmart offering $4 virtual clinic visits and willing to pay for the employees to be flown to the Cleveland Clinic for their heart surgery or to be flown to the Ochsner Clinic for their joint replacements just because it's more efficient. And then you think about people like Google and Amazon getting the space. There's no question that healthcare is being disrupted. And all these headwinds in the healthcare are leading to disaggregation, failing practice, and hospital closures. If we really think about this and see almost daily, we are seeing about hospitals closing due to this disruption, whether it's in Ohio, Kansas, South Carolina, Texas. In fact, Becker's Hospital Review came out and said 20% of rural hospitals are at high risk of closing. What's very scary is that roughly 64%, or about 277 of those high-risk hospitals, are deemed to be essential for their communities. This is the disruption that's occurring in healthcare. So with all that background and talking about those 4 facts, what does that mean to interventional radiology? What does it mean to us? Let me provide you some of my thoughts of why I believe IR is actually in a great position in this current healthcare market. I want to explain why IR needs patience and patience. First of all, and very importantly, we must not forget why we went into medicine. It's really about our patients. They are our reason for being. They give us our purpose. It is what keeps us engaged. Doing what's best for our patients should always be our true north and our guiding compass. Next, when we think about things, I want to talk to you about this not my problem problem. This was an article that was published about 1 month ago in New England Journal of Medicine, in which a patient was transferred to an academic medical center. The patient had a PERC chole tube in, they had heart failure, they had some pancreatic biliary disease, and they got admitted to the clinical cardiology service. All the services floundered because everybody assumed everybody else should direct this patient's care. It wasn't until one physician sat down, went through the chart, and they decided the path to go. It's really not about the care that's important in the story. It's really about the attitudes of the 3 services, the endless volleying of patients back and forth. I think that in this situation, what may be perceived as scut work, sitting down, going through the chart, and organizing the team, is really the mechanics of being a doctor. So IR should take the lead in management of patients and can no longer be so passive. They should take primary control and management of the patients, and we can do that. IR should also use this transition period, now that we become our own specialty, to morph from being a doctor's doctor to really being a patient's doctor. We must become a vocal and a strong advocate for patients, and I would also submit that the FSIR must also start including patients as part of its board and advocacy structure. And I would say that in return, patients will ultimately advocate more for interventional radiology because of the add that we add to their value. Now, I show this picture of Don Berwick, the former director of CMS, and he was part of the original paper that came out from the Institute of Medicine in 1999, To Err is Human. In 2008, he published the triple aim of medicine. And when you look at this triple aim and see how does this fit IR, that is enhancing the patient experience of care, inclusive of access to and consistency and quality of care, improving the health of populations, and reducing or at least controlling the per capita cost of care. Where does IR fit into that? I think we fit in perfectly. In that article, he also talks about the need from transitioning from our fee-for-service, volume-driven care models to one for value-based, to cross that chasm. Having said that, it is very difficult to do because of the currently malaligned incentive payment system in our healthcare system. But we need to go there, and IR can contribute to that move. When we think about factors where providers consider referring patients, we think about sources of influencing referrals. IR is very well positioned when you look at this. Steerage mechanism, value-based incentives, consumer interventions, we fit nicely into that. When we think about traditional differentiators, we think about someone like a hospital wanting to employ a cardiologist because they will direct their efforts on improving volume and drive value. And you can see that the hospital becomes sort of the hub. I would submit to you that hospitals are no longer going to be that hub. It's going to be the outpatient facilities and the opportunities that we provide patients because we can be more efficient and less costly.
So these traditional differentiators, although they're there, I think we're moving towards new and emerging differentiators in which interventional radiology will play a significant role of providing cost efficiencies, consumer more choices and options, and being able to enhance patient outcomes because of the less risky procedures we provide and the fewer complications. Not only that, think about we would be able to address Donald Berwick's triple aim of medicine. Now I put up this picture of Conrad Wencken to remind us of the importance of diagnostic radiology in our background. Although our clinical skills, our ability to perform procedures, and our patient-facing practices differentiate us from diagnostic radiologists, for the most part, they really don't separate us from other specialties. They can do those things too. It's really our diagnostic radiology skills and our inherent ability to fully understand imaging data that can't be duplicated by other specialties. This provides us a competitive advantage, so therefore we should embrace our diagnostic radiology heritage. Think about that. While we are embracing our diagnostic radiology heritage, we should also embrace the innovations that the diagnostic radiologists are creating, like theragnostics. Think about theragnostic. What is that? It's a combination of a diagnostic and therapeutic in a single agent. Really, the principle of theragnostics is to gain the ability to specifically image, treat, and monitor the diseased tissue using a single agent. IR should be right in the middle of that. We should use our imaging diagnostics and therapeutics to drive our specialty even further for patient care. When we talk about patients, let me take you back to this book by Friedman. In this book, he also talks about having the patients to pause and stop in stride, to reflect and try to manage a better path forward during this time of acceleration and chaos. Think about that. It's a little bit like basketball. You can get sped up too much and have too many turnovers. It's really about having patience despite having a sense of urgency. So in his book, he talks about human and systems' ability to adapt, which traditionally is linear. But now, because of the information age and such, the technology is advancing, there is an adaptation adjustment that we may need to make. But how do we make this adjustment? We must still exert a level of patience and caution, as it will be very important during this time of acceleration, because in these situations, adaptation and change can be very dangerous if not done thoughtfully and well. Indeed, as Friedman writes in his book, the most dangerous time to have been on the streets of New York City was when cars were first being introduced while horses and buggies had yet to be fully phased out. We are a bit in that kind of transition now. During such times, however, not only are intelligence and emotional quotients important, but having a high adaptability quotient, or AQ, is also very important. A high AQ is very important, particularly during times of instability and with a changing environment. It's our AQ that helps us to identify hidden signals and opportunities within a changing and turbulent landscape, and will allow us the advantage to use these opportunities to be successful moving forward in the new environment. IRs traditionally have been very creative and adaptable, so our inherently high AQ provides us a competitive edge going forward. Now, if we think about things in the fragmented and disrupted healthcare market, and we think about the complex healthcare industrial complex and the need to decrease costs and cross the value chasm from volume to value, recognizing that there's increasing consumerism, acceleration of data and information, and mergers and acquisitions, practice consolidations. As long as we keep our patients and our in the center of focus, these disruptions are creating opportunities for IR. significantly. So as we move forward, in summary, what I'd like to say, as we approach our current day challenges, we need to really remember our reason for being and evolve into becoming the patient's doctor and vocal advocates for patients. We should leverage our creativity and inherently high AQ, as well as our diagnostic radiology skills, to our best advantage. In this consumer-driven market, we are really well positioned as IR to help address the triple aim of medicine and contribute to value-based care models. And we must exercise thoughtful patience while bringing about change and breaking traditional barriers. We need to really think about iterating new practices and models and partnerships while trying to embed ourselves into vertically integrated systems and retail clinics going forward. We need to become part of the solution in those systems. Traditional models are moving away. However, we should also realize that these prescriptions are often easier to write about than fill, as there will be many external and financial, cultural, and ego-driven forces that will try to disaggregate and fragment us. As John Hagel said, who's an expert on flow modeling, what we really need to do is, rather attacking our traditions and institutions, or conversely, simply defending them, we need to come together in a quest to redefine them to reflect the new context of the rapidly changing world. In essence, as we circle the wagons and think about moving forward, what we don't want to do is circle the wagons and shoot inside. So, with that in mind, what is this one thing? What I like to do is use this Aesop's fable parable about the 4 oxen and the lion, in which these 4 oxen lived in a field in which the lion wandered. Now, whenever the lion went to approach to attack the oxen would get their tails together so that wherever the lion approached them, they would come to the horns. After a bit of time, the oxen began quarreling over minor issues like who was sleeping where, and if one oxen smelled more than the others. And so they started separating. And one by one, the lion started picking off each of the oxen. The story really talks about the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, despite the differences that may seem to be challenging them. So really, if we use this metaphor and say the lion are payers, policymakers, health systems, disruptive care models, and talk about that the oxen are really interventional radiology, interventional oncologists, diagnostic radiologists, and our patients, we can use this fable to think about where we need to go. It gets to the point that Vicki, in her president's speech, said it's about unity. So what is that one thing? It really is what Vicki talked about. It's unity. It's unity in purpose. It's unity in service to our patients and our specialty. IRs have a wonderful opportunity in this disrupted and chaotic healthcare system to make a difference if we move forward together as one. However, our collective voices must be very loud, must be clear, and it must not be fragmented nor relegated to a whisper. Otherwise, we are in jeopardy of not being heard by those who need to hear it: the legislators, the regulators, the payers, health systems, and our patients. And we'll at risk of being drowned out by all the other noise. In the spirit of March Madness, I'd like to end with an African proverb that I first heard from the University of Virginia men's basketball coach, Tony Bennett, about 10 years ago. I feel that his quoting of this African proverb is very applicable to this discussion. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day here at SIR 2019.